I'm going to the dyno, which is great news because I've been running on a base mat for a bit too long now. I'm really looking forward to getting it all tuned. I'm going to change the oil and the oil filter today, and I've already got the car jacked up. I've actually treated myself to a brand new low lift Clark jack. This is from Machine Mart, and it's got the really low level, I think it's about 75 millimeters to the actual platform, so it's really low level and has the quick lift and all the controls on here rather than moving the whole stick, and you can pull it along, so that's pretty nice. So jacked car up already. I've got my clean pan there so I can see if there's anything in the actual oil itself. And we've come over to the table. I have got my oil, so Castrol Edge fully synthetic 5W40, which is for the B18C4. It's what Castrol recommends, so it's what I'm going to use. I've got Bosch oil filter. These should fit. It's a bit bigger than my previous one, but when you place it on the sandwich plate that I'm going to use, you can see here that the rubber seems to seal around the outside of it. Let's take the rubber seal ring off, and I can maybe prove it to myself. So you see the rubber seals onto there, so that should be no problems. And this thread threads up to here, so this is kind of the reverse of what's in the engine itself. So the engine will have a thread sticking out to wind the oil filter on, and this has the same thing, but just for the sandwich plate. So if I put that back in here, and so this the sandwich plate basically goes from here to here with this bolt thing in the middle of it, and that goes onto the engine. So then on the sandwich plate I've got these little ports, so I think they're quarter, are they? Oh, 1/8 MPT, and then this is the oil temperature sensor, and this is the oil pressure sensor. Now when I was building the engine, which seems quite a long time ago now, which it was, what I noticed was that it was very hard to install this because of it was hitting on other things. So what I've also got is this, which is an extender, and I might be able to mount this sensor away from the actual sandwich plate itself. It's not really ideal because for a start there's a distance between here and here, and you can have all types of bad effects when measuring pressure when you have a small tube connected to it. But what we will do is just see if the whole thing can work. The main thing is that I can actually sense that there is oil pressure in my engine when it's running, and that's pretty important. Lastly, I've obviously got some sealing tape, so these are you need to wind that round the threads of these, and there's also a bung in there as well. I'll take that out and I'll put some new thread in there. And then lastly I have this, which is the Mission Speed magnetic drain plug. We'll see if this fits or not. I think it should, and then that's it really. Other than that, we've just got some wire, soldering iron, and some connectors just to make the wiring connectors, but I'll show you that all later. First of all, I'm going to drop the oil and see if there's anything sinister in it. So first step is undo the drain plug, get your clean pan underneath there, and just slowly unwind it. I think it's usually on a 17, this happens to be on a 14 because it's an aftermarket magnetic drain plug. Okay, there, boom. And always have a look at it. It's coming in, looks pretty dark, so I'm pretty glad that I changed it, and just let that gloop out. And just undo the cap as well, sometimes speeds it up slightly, and just wait for the oil to all come out. See if you can check what's wrong with this. So look, this is a magnetic drain plug, this is the cheapo one I put in, and look, the magnet is missing. Now you could tell yourself, right, it's just the bottom of the sump, it's probably on the sump, but I don't like the thought of that, so I have got to take the sump off now, which is really annoying, but there you go. Good news is that the oil looks okay. A couple of bubbles in it, but there's nothing bad in there, which is good. And I need to take the manifold off, so I've already done these undone these 13mm bolts, and then underneath, to get the sump off you have to take the manifold off. It's just one of those things, because some of the bolts for the sump are here, so then I just need to go along and take out those bolts there and drop the sump off. On the spring bolts, unclip this. I've already taken out the bolts here, and obviously the dipstick out the way. Then I can just move this forward and then get this down. So just 10mm, and got my Milwaukee with 10mm on it, so that should be fairly quick. One thing I've also got to do, which is annoying again, is drop this brace down, and that's 17mm, I think 12mm as well, so I have to undo them as well. Probably undo this first. So that's this taken down, this brace, and there's all different types of bolt length, so just be careful of that. You've got, so from around here you've got a short one, a longer one, two kind of medium ones, and a short one which goes here. So I'll show you that when I've taken it off. Anyway, and now it's just all these 10mm, and drop this sump pan down. So here we have it. So the sump is off. Now I need to find that little magnet thing. So I'm going to wait for it to finish dripping, and then I think it's going to be underneath this little plate there. So look, I can see it now. There we go. There we have it. That magnet was just clung to there. It's covered in a bit of crap, so it's kind of partially done its job, but not great how it basically fell off. It didn't go anywhere, so no damage done, but anyway, I've got my mission speed one in there now. Should be a bit better. And yeah, let's put this sump pan back on the engine. Pan out with some brake cleaner, and then after that just did it up kind of how I took it off in the first place. So make sure there's a couple either side, so one here and one here, maybe one there, to hold up in place, and then just thread in all of the nuts and bolts the whole way around, and then I'll just go ahead and do them all up. They're all 10mm. So I did that sump pan up by just tightening up one every two, and then just snug them up like that, and then do the one in between those every two, if that makes sense. But what you're trying to do is make sure it doesn't just all snug up one side and go tight. So you're just doing gradual progressions, just try and even out the load on the actual seal. Okay, and then when you've done that, I'm going to put this brace on here, the gearbox brace, and that's just all these bolts in here, like I said. So just quickly put that on there. It's up by just threading each of them in loosely. And I tighten these big 17s up. I tightened these ones going vertically and then to the side. Just make sure that none of them are hard to get in at any point. So that's why you thread them all in loosely to begin with, so you know that you're on the threads. And that is done. I can just put the exhaust manifold back in, and that's the end of this complete detour I've had to take. I'm going to take off the oil filter as soon as the manifold's off. Might be slightly easier, so just probably get my hands on that. There is a nut on the back, but I never do these stupidly tight, so it should just come off. Right, the only way that this thing's going on is if I take the pressure sender and put it elsewhere, put that in like that. So what I'm going to do is take this off, and I'm going to, I think I'll just have it going facing upwards like that. So then I'll just put the pressure sender adapter on here, and then place that somewhere else. So just work on that now, just on the bench. First thing to do will be clean up the threads on this. I've got this little copper brush for spark plugs, and I'll just take all this old bit of sealing tape off. Goes for the temperature sensor, just take all this little tape off. In Teflon tape, the thing to do is to put it on this end, like so, and then roll it round the same direction that you're going to actually do it up in, so then the end of the tape is actually like that when you're finished, so it doesn't just snag and roll off. So that's how to do it. And then I'm going to just put these in. So this whole adapter is going to be facing upwards. I need to blank off this one here. I need to put this temperature sensor here in this port, and then I need to use the adapter on the top one. So I'm going to put these blanking stuff, the blanking port and the temperature in first. So it comes in this kit. You've got this, which is the adapter. So I need to screw that into here, and then this I need to blank off one of them, so one of the ports with this, and then screw that into there. This is the whole setup. We have this blanked off, temperature sensor, this line for the pressure sensor, we have this blanked off, and the pressure sensor itself. These are all different sizes, but I've got some flare sockets, and I even used this to hold that and tighten up this pressure sensor. So that's it, good to go on. I've got this little P bracket to put this somewhere. I'm just going to go and put this on the car now with this bolt through it, so it goes that way around, and then with the oil filter on top. So it's actually 1/16, but I think this is a 27mm socket. I think a 26 or 25 might be pretty close as well, but anyway, I've got the supposedly right socket for the job, so I'll just throw this in the car now. This is where we have it. I can just put the oil filter on top of that, but first I think I'm going to do all the electrical connections. Some little P-clip that was supplied around there, and a threaded hole, so that's not going anywhere, and then I can just connect this up. So I think if this is anything like the other sensor that I've got here, then this should be G isn't ground for some reason. G is actually the signal, so that's the kind of slightly bizarre thing about this. But here, this is the wire I've got for the oil pressure, so I just need to make an eyelet and put that there, and then I just need to make a ground cable. This is the wiring done. This is obviously the pressure sender. So here we have, this goes back to the gauge. This is a ground or an engine earth, and I've done the same for the actual temperature sensor down there. And then there's also one that was coming from the cabin, which is also needing to go to an engine earth. So I've put them all this here. This is an engine ground, and that really completes everything really. So now I'm going to go underneath the car and put the oil filter back on the car. Oil filter up in place. I'll put some oil around the little rubber ring. Everyone does that, and just checking that the sump plug is tight. Okay, it is. And now I'm going to just throw the exhaust back on there and top up with engine oil when it's down the deck. So the lambda connector's back connected. I've tightened the exhaust up with 14 and a 12 for the spring bolt. And now I just need to do these manifold to head nuts up. These 30mm are all secure, so that means the manifold's fully on now. And now I just need to do the engine. I'll fill the engine with oil. So I've got all my oil here, well, some of it, so 5W40. Fill up with oil. We'll see. I've got a very good ground on the oil pressure, but no. check this. Check the level first. So it's there. Looks pretty good to me. I could do the splash. That's why I have it on max. Yeah, this how I put the sensor probably isn't the best with that extension, but at least shows my due of engine oil pressure and whenever it increases. But I don't know if I trust the exact numbers. It seems to be fluctuating a bit as well. But yeah, at least all my gauges seem to be working now. If I need to get a different sandwich plate so I can mount that at maybe a 45-degree angle to the block, that would be better. And I think I'll probably have to get a new sandwich plate and do that. But either way, for now, because you see, I don't think I believe what it's doing now. It's a lot of fluctuation. Seems to take a long time to come down, and comes down not in relation to the engine speed, so probably don't believe that much, but at least it shows my due of oil pressure, and that's it. So I've just gone up on a flat level and just checked the oil level is to the top of the max. Now I'm going to just check the fuel pressure level, and for that you need to do it at idle with the vac hose off. So then I'm going to just adjust this, but first I'm going to just start the engine. Get this thing going. Should be around 3, which it pretty much is actually. So here I just want to lock this off, but don't move this, so I need to kind of get 2 10mm, hold this and tighten that down. Another thing I want to sort out is the alternator belt tension. If you look down here, you can get more than a quarter of a turn quite easily just with one finger, so I'm just going to tighten it up. This is quite an easy job. It just involves undoing this 12mm there, I think it is, and there's a 14mm here. There you go. That nut you see on the end, just undo that. That allows the thing to pivot, and this thing allows it to slide. So just undo those two, and then I'll get the jimmy bar in, put some tension in it. So that's the 14mm socket in there to undo that. Grab that out of there, and then should be able to just get a 12mm ring spanner on here, like so, and just undo that a bit. See, it's loose now, it dropped a bit. A good position for the jimmy bar, just in there. And as I just lift this back, you can see the alternator goes back a bit, and I can just then just tighten that 12mm nut on there up. This nut there is tight. Now when I go to turn it over, I can't easily turn it over more than a quarter. It's under a quarter, so that's good. And then quickly go in here, don't forget to do this, do that back up, come in here and get on that 14mm there, and just do that up, and that's done. One of the things I found before going to the dyno was this bonnet pin had wound itself out, so I just need to get the 14mm, tighten that nut up again, so that could have been really sketchy. If the bonnet flown up, it wouldn't be the first time in this car. Then also I found that this line here was routed, so it was touching this throttle butterfly, so what was happening is it was sticking every now and then, but it wasn't doing it by much, but it was kind of sketchy. So I just put it the other way around, so it's going here, And another little check I'm going to do, just using my voltmeter, is I'm just going to have a look at the pin out here and have a look at the throttle position sensor TPS and look at the voltages I'm getting before, so when the throttle's closed and then open, and just to see if it's within spec. The pin there in the middle wire, can't really see it, middle wire, the black is obviously there, and if I push it in, this is obviously with the throttle closed, I get to about 0.5 volt, so that's about right. And then if I open this, it should go to 4.5 volts. You have to trust me on that one because I can't do both with both. So let me have a look. So just to correct that, I've undone those two Allen bolts, and I've wound this round to give me 0.5 exactly when the throttle's closed. So I'll just tighten that back up.